Assalamu alaikum students. Welcome to online English class of intermediate part 2. This is Department of English, Government Postgraduate College Attak, and I am Nasir Ali Shah, Assistant Professor of English. Students, this is your book 2 of Modern Prose and Heroes. If you look at the contents page, the first chapter of your book is The Dying Sun by Sir James Jeans. This is his picture, Sir James Jeans. Let's have a little introduction of the writer. Sir James Hopwood Jeans was born in 1877 and died in 1946. He was an English physicist, astronomer, and mathematician. In his career, he had been a professor of mathematics at different colleges and universities. He had been teaching at Trinity College in 1901. Then he taught at Cambridge, and then he went to Princeton University in 1904 as a professor of applied mathematics. Then he returned to Cambridge in 1910. He made important contributions in many areas of physics, including quantum theory, the theory of radiation, and stellar evolution. His analysis of rotating bodies led him to conclude that that theory of solar system formed from a single cloud of gas was incorrect, proposing instead that the planets condensed from material drawn out of the sun by a hypothetical catastrophic near collision with a passing star. This theory is not accepted today, but this is his main theory upon which this chapter is based, The Dying Sun, which we are going to read. Before starting the text, we should have a little overview of the lesson. The Dying Sun is an exploratory essay by Sir James Jeans. In this essay, he describes the size of the sun as compared to the earth and the universe. He says that there are countless stars in the universe, and most of them are bigger than the sun. The stars travel in the universe millions of miles away from each other, and they rarely come close. But in the text, we see that Sir James Jeans describes such a rare incident, which according to him and according to many other astronomers and scientists took place some 2,000 million years ago. Sir James Jeans believes in Big Bang theory of the creation of the Earth and other planets of our solar system. He says that some 2,000 million years ago, a wandering star came near the sun. Its attraction or its gravitational pull created a huge tide on the surface of the sun, pulling the big wave of boiling matter from the surface of the sun towards itself. But this boiling matter formed a huge mountain, and it became so huge that it was torn into pieces. It burst into pieces and fell off in the space. So these torn pieces of our sun began to move around the sun. These are called the planets, and our Earth is one of them. So according to Sir James Jeans, this is how our Earth came into being. And he thinks that our Earth came into being as a result of a rare incident. Such incidents do not happen quite occasionally in the universe, and this rare event, according to Sir James Jeans, took place in about 2000 million years ago. The writer narrates how the life started on the earth in the next paragraph. He says that he doesn't exactly know how, when, and why this happened, but the life started in simple unicellular organisms. Organisms means small living beings, and unicellular means having only one cell in their bodies, or one-celled creatures. So according to him and many other scientists, life upon this earth started in simple one-celled creatures, in the form of one-celled creatures or unicellular organisms, and later on it kept on changing into a complex generation like humans. The writer says that life only can exist under suitable conditions, and these conditions are only present on the earth. Most important of which is a normal temperature at which substance can exist in a liquid state. These conditions may be present at a specific distance from the sun where the temperature is suitable for life. He further explains the size of the universe as compared to our earth and the sun. He says that the universe seems to us to be frightening due to different reasons, and those reasons include stretches of time which is measureless to us, stretches of distances which we cannot even imagine. They are so great because there are huge distances, or we may say that there are distances of millions of miles between one star or planet and another star or another planet. We also feel frightening. We feel alone on the earth as we find no life near the planet Earth. There is only space millions of miles from the earth. This is a little introduction with the main points which have been discussed by the writer in this lesson. Now we come to the text of our lesson. The title is The Dying Sun. The dying sun means, according to the writer, the sun which is dying, or the sun which is gradually and slowly losing its warmth and heat. And some of the scientists think that the sun is losing its energy or heat, and a day may come when it will completely lose its energy, and perhaps that would be the end of the world. The title, The Dying Sun. First of all, we should look at the title, its grammatical importance. The first word, the or the, you know that it is an article. If we look at the parts of speech, the word the is an article. How it is pronounced? It is pronounced both as the and the, but there is a difference. If it precedes, means if it comes before a consonant sound, it is pronounced as the. As here I have pronounced it as the dying sun. But if this word the or the, if it precedes or comes before a vowel sound, it would be pronounced as the. For example, we may say the intelligent boy, the old man, the end of the story. If it precedes a vowel sound, it would be pronounced as the. Otherwise, if it precedes a consonant sound, it will be pronounced as the. So, the title is The Dying Sun by Sir James Jeans. Now we start reading the text. The first sentence says, a few stars are known which are hardly bigger than the earth, but most of them are so large that hundreds of thousands of earths could be packed inside each and leave room to spare. Now in this first sentence, the writer says that there are, if we look at the space, if we look at night into the space and observe different stars, we may come to know that there are only a few, means very little in number, very small in number, only a few stars which we know that are hardly bigger than the earth. It means that the smaller size stars, the size of which is small, are a little bigger than the earth. They are very few in number, but most of them are so large. It means that most of the stars in this universe are so huge, so large, they are so big that hundreds and thousands of earths could be packed inside each. It shows the size of the most of the stars in the universe, and through this sentence we may come to know, or we can have a little idea of how large those stars are. It shows that they are thousands of times bigger than the earth, that hundreds and thousands of earths could be packed inside each. Packed means these earths could be put into them and still leave room to spare. Spare means there will be some extra space in them. Here and there we find an immense star large enough to contain millions and millions of earths. Here and there means here and there in space. There are a lot of stars, or we may find a huge star which is large enough that it can contain millions and millions of earths. Means that millions of earths could be packed inside that star. So in this first sentence, which is a very long sentence, the writer has given us some idea of the size of the stars. There are most of the stars in the universe which are millions of times bigger than the earth. In the next sentence, the writer says, and the total number of stars in the universe is probably something like the total number of grains of sand on all the seashores of the world. Now the writer says that when we look at the universe, the stars are so huge, so large, and our earth is very small in comparison with them. Now if we think about those stars and we want to know about the size of we want to know about the number of those stars, the question arises in our mind that how many stars are there in the universe. So the writer gives us an idea, because the total number of stars cannot be counted. There are so many, they are numberless, countless, they cannot be counted. So the writer says that the total number of stars in the universe is probably something like the total number of grains of sand on all the seashores of the world. As the grains of sand, means little grains of sand, upon all the seashores, on the banks, river banks or seashores, as the grains of sand cannot be counted. There are billions and trillions and cannot be counted. So the total number of stars is probably something like that. As we cannot count the grains of sand upon this earth, even we cannot count the grains of sand on a single seashore, on the shore of one sea. There are many seas in this world. So the total number of grains cannot be counted by us. In the same manner, the total number of stars cannot be counted. Such is the littleness of our home in space when measured up against the total substance of the universe. So, from these two sentences in the first paragraph, we have a little idea of the size of our earth upon which we are living, which is our home. The writer says that such is the littleness of our home. Means when we look at the whole universe, the stars are so many in number, they are countless, and they are so large, so huge. They are millions of times bigger than the earth. So when we look at this big and vast universe, we come to know about the littleness of our home, which is our earth. So the students, this is the first paragraph with a little introduction about the writer and the chapter and the main points which I have described earlier. This is the first paragraph of our text. After reading this paragraph, you may be asked a question. The question number 1 should be, what is the total number of stars in the universe? So, students, this is the question for you from this first paragraph, and you are to find out its answer and write down in your notebooks. So, this is our first paragraph, and this was our first lecture upon this first chapter. And the remaining part of the chapter we will study in our next lectures. Okay, and Allah Hafiz.